Shalom, Israel. We're back for the second half of the Sabbath service, doing Ecclesiasticus chapter 8, or Sirach. He says, strive not with a mighty man, lest thou fall into his hand. So, a mighty man who has the power and authority, to do things to you, to kill you, or harm you. Don't strive with him. I can't. Where's it? Chapter 13. So chapter 8. Verse 1. It says Romans 13:1. It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. So Romans chapter 13, 1-3. So strive not, don't strive against the powers, the higher powers, lest thou fall into his hands. So you're gonna strive against it, go against it, then he's gonna either take you down, kill your army, and you wonder, no, don't do that. Don't strive against the mighty man. Verse 2, be not at variance with a rich man, lest he overweigh thee, for gold had destroyed many and perverted the hearts of kings. So with the rich man, right, he has his riches, and he could, then he can get the authorities and everything, over you, drag you to court, and of course he's going to win certain things. Verse 3, strive not with a man that is full of tongue, and heap not wood upon his fire. So this man is full of tongue, speech, and he could just, tie you up with his words. And you could be a laughing stock. It's a verse 4. It's just not with a rude man, lest thy ancestors be disgraced. So people that are rude, and you don't want to put yourself out there to put yourself, be shameful, to yourselves and to your ancestors, be disgraced. It says, just not with a rude man, lest thy ancestors be disgraced. Or you get disgraced and your ancestors be disgraced also. Verse 5, reproach not a man that turned from sin, But remember that we are all worthy of punishment. So a man that's turned from sin, which is a good thing. And we are worthy of the punishment because he turned from his sin, which is a good thing. Because the Most High could, punish all of us in our sin and ignorance. Verse 6, dishonor not a man in his old age, for even some of us wax old. So, elder in his old age, you don't want to dishonor him. Or, because if you stick around long enough, you'll get older too. Sometimes I see some young people, oh, he's so old, this and that, oh, he's so old, so on and so forth. He's been around. You stick around long enough, you, like I say, you get old too. Because even some of us wax old, some of us get old.
Going back to that verse 4, just not with a rude man, lest thy ancestors be disgraced. So, jest is like someone, when somebody said this guy's a court jester, right? He makes, they use him as entertainment, fun, jokes, right? Parody, things of that nature, right? So that's where jest comes in, like you're joking and playing around with somebody. But you know this individual be a rude individual. Like with him, when he get pissed off or when he get angry or something just go a little bit too far, he'll go way overboard, right? People like that who just can't, keep certain things in context. They got to go above and beyond. Like they go out there and start stirring up controversy and strife and things of that nature. So avoid that type of person. Don't play around with that type of person. Because if you don't and you deal with them, then when it talks about lest thy ancestors be disgraced. So your ancestors, people from your family, like your line and everything else. There may have been certain things, some bones that have been, tucked away in the closet about your family, and then all of a sudden, here he go, bringing it all out. I remember your grandfather. Yeah, they used to bust his head up, and he used to be behind the little barn over there doing all kind of. And now here it is, they disgracing him, and they not even here. Because it was already known. Because you wanted to go and joke around with this guy, and you know what type of character he got. So he's going to go and disgrace your people, your family. He's going to bring up dirt on you. That's like how they used to say we planted dozens. Mm-hmm. And I talk about your mother. You talk about my mother. Then it get worse and worse and worse. Then it turn real. Mm-hmm. You like, hold on, this guy done went a little bit too far. Right? Don't play around with a rude person. Let him be. Leave him alone. Or else you start uncovering things and start dealing with things that don't even contain the stuff that's going on right now.
So
this is where it goes into like how we talk about the 4 types of laws, ceremonial laws for the high holy days, dietary laws. Then you got moral and civil laws, right? Moral and civil laws is how you think, how you rationalize or reason amongst each other, how you discern spirits one from another, how you live amongst each other, how you live amongst the nations, what things you should and shouldn't do. So all of this is formulating and building up your spirit, right? That's why the spirit comes right back to the law, to the scriptures. Because if you apply all of these intricacies of the things that we read, like even here in this chapter and the previous chapters about the whole Bible, it will now make you to be that person that is perfect. If you apply everything that's here, you are 100% perfect. If you are able to apply everything. Like Yahushua or someone, like if you can do these things, if you are able to discern spirits, if you are able to say, you know what, I'm not even going to say anything right now. I'm letting everybody else play with him. Because I know what type guy this is. I ain't even joining in this soiree right now. Right? If you are able to do all that, then you are really walking with wisdom as far as for how to keep your soul intact. Right? When you misstep on some of these things where we know that nobody's going to be able to perfectly apply all of these precepts to their life, but you're trying to apply as much as you can for when you can, fighting temptation. But if you apply a lot of these different things, man, then you walk with light. Then you are seen as somebody different than the ordinary person.
Verse 7, it says, rejoice not over thy greatest enemy being dead, but remember that we all die. I saw something on, something on Facebook today about somebody's rejoicing over that judge, that Ginsburg judge died, and it's she's dead, rejoicing over her. But I'm like, don't rejoice over that, because like the scripture said, but remember that we all die. We all gonna die at some point. Let's say,
do something out of you. It's about to come. We got into it this morning.
Read this one.
Come on.
Yeah, let's read it. For verse
7.
Verse 7. Verse 7, right?
This is Job chapter 31.
All right, Job 31.
Job 31 and 29. It says, if I rejoiced at the destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him, neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing a curse to his soul. Right? So we always try to separate Israel from the nations. Right? As far as for someone who was your enemy, or who was, like Yahweh said, your foes or your enemies will be they of your own household. Right? You're going to have people who don't like you, who don't have your best interests. This is why Yahweh said, turn the other cheek. He wasn't talking about, the other nations. We're talking about your own people, because they don't know better. Right? They hate you without just cause. So if those who hated you now fall victim to now being killed or being put to death, don't rejoice over it. Right? So even Job, it says, if I rejoice at the destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him, neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing a curse to his soul. So you don't want to be in that position where those who hated you or wish harm upon you, that you want to put a curse on that individual. Right? Even Yahweh said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They're ignorant. They don't know no better. They're not in their right mind. But we shouldn't want to wish a curse or death on our brother or sister. Right? And we're talking about those who are at odds within our nation, not the other nation, because we already know the judgment of them. But we're talking about those who are within our nation.
But the other nations, we can say, be glad they did. Hey, that's right. So
So this is Job 3.
129.
Job 3, 31, 29. Even Job 3 and 19. This is the spirit world. It says, the small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. So, people, we live, we born, we live, we die, it happened to all flesh. Verse 8, it says, despise not the discourse of the wise, but acquaint thyself with their proverbs. For of them thou shalt learn instruction, and how to serve great men with ease. So, of the wise, the scripture is our wisdom, right? And by, learning from them, the wise, we can be able to serve great men with ease and not be, troublesome. Verse 9, miss not the discourse of the elders, for they also learn of their fathers, and of them thou shalt learn understanding, and to give answer as need required. So as the elders are there, before us, with understanding, we learn understanding, and as need be, we able to use, information passed down to us as pertain to the scriptures. Verse 10, it said, kindle not the coals of a sinner, lest thou be burnt with the flame of his fire. So, like if you know of a sinner, so as far as I understand it, of the person who's doing something, sinful, you don't want to, because when you kindle a fire, you're starting it, or you're exposing it, like the coals, of a sinner. As you get caught up in in his situation and in his wrath. Verse 11, it says, rise not up in anger at the presence of an injurious person, lest he lie in wait to entrap thee in thy words. Rise down. But a person can cause harm, right? So that a person can cause harm, right? Let's see, he gets you with it, because he's able to do it against you. Verse 11. Verse what? 10.
So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 28. Let's start at . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . 10.
28 and 10, right?
Actually, I'm going to start at 8.
Hold on, let me get it. 28 and 8.
28 and 8. I'm going to read down to 12. So this is Ecclesiasticus 28 and 8. It says, abstain from strife, and thou shalt diminish thy sins. For a furious man will kindle strife. A sinful man disquieteth friends, and maketh debate among them that be at peace. Right? So we understand how a sinful man or a furious man operates. Right? Now it says, as the matter of the fire is, so it burneth. And as a man's strength is, so is his wrath. And according to his riches, his anger riseth. And the stronger they are which contend, the more they will be inflamed. And hasty contention kindleth a fire, and a hasty fighting sheddeth blood. So when we read back in 10, it says, kindle not the coals of a sinner, lest thou be burnt with the flame of his fire. So when that individual is enraged and he has resources and things of that nature, don't think when you in the midst of something and you know how that person is going to operate, that you may not get scourged with interjecting yourself and not in this person's anger.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why we read before when in the last chapter, as far as for what was that verse? Same thing where you don't want to put yourself in a situation that you're going to be fall victim to. So a lot of this in here is now just giving you advice, sound advice on how to maneuver in certain situations, how to back up and look and observe the situation from jumping in. This person he's a rude man. I ain't going to go and joke around with him. I'm going to let him be. This guy's angry and he's wilding out because of his sins and the things that are going on. So he's mad. So now I'm not going to come and join the bandwagon of fire where now he's going to be looking for revenge from folks. Now I may get scourged by it. Don't think that if I just jump in while he's wilding out that he ain't going to want to do something to me or call the cops on me or, call my boss and say, yo, this guy's doing such and such. You should watch him. You should fire. Like some things outside of just rebuke from the scriptures that we involve ourselves in, you're going to get yourself burnt sometimes. Right? A lot of times we entertain madness and things that really don't concern us. And we just want to go add our 2 cents in, our 4 cents in, and it comes back around and then you be caught up in it. Right? So watch what we deal with, watch what we entertain ourselves with into that you don't get yourself burnt by the backlash.
Yeah. So verse 12 now. It says, lend not unto him that is mightier than thyself, for if thou lendest him, count it but lost. So somebody who's mightier than you and you know that you're gonna lend to him, come to a point, you're probably not even gonna even see him again. That's kind of.
What that mean? He don't have to pay you back because he might beat you up if you ask him for your money. Is that what they're saying?
No, well. Yeah, you might not. You may not even see him again.
Or you just won't get it back.
Yeah.
If this person is mightier than you, whether it be with influence and power, like he may know the cops, he may know these. So listen, man, I'm gonna call the cops on you. Call them. I know them. They already paid off. What you gonna do? Right? He may be bigger than you physically. You can't whoop him. So you got your money, you got your shovel, your whatever it is. You say, listen, I want my stuff back. And then he said, listen, nah, it's mine now. What? What are you talking about? It's yours now. What you gonna do? Right? So you have it in different situations where a person is mightier than you, and you now giving something to them, and now you're at their whim on when they're gonna give you back that which is yours. Counted by the law. You might as well say, listen, man, I ain't getting that back. He got that. That $100, that $50, my bike, my this, you know what? I'm just gonna leave that alone for right now, because what am I gonna do?
Like the movie Friday.
Right in the food like this Friday.
I even think about sometime even for the Native American or something, certain things that he might just, learn. And look, he's a general, he got a whole army with him, and it's like, I'm not getting it back. No much I protest or whatever, so I might even just consider it counted, but lost.
Well, with the northern tribes, I don't know if they link to them.
Yeah, I know they take it, they cover the field and take it by violence, right?
Yeah, they just took it.
They cover the field and take it by violence. All right. It said, verse 13, be not surety above thy power, for if thou be surety, take care to pay it. So, that you promise such and such, that you don't have the money or the resources to do it. Don't put that bond, your word is bond, and then when it comes, it's like, take care to pay it. Because I remember I think one time some guy had lost his laptop, he couldn't find it, and he said, I'm going to pay $1 million. Anybody who find my laptop. Somebody found it, and it's like, where's my $1 million? And he's like, I want my laptop back. It was above his power. Because, they have you, now they have you said, and there's witnesses, and there is, sometimes they might even be video or recording of it, that you said it. All right. Verse 14, go not to law with a judge, for they will judge for him according to his honor. So judges, they have their friends who are judges and lawyers and in power and position, right? So you're going to go along with a judge. Sometimes, certain things somebody going to do, and it's like, find us up. He got like 10 judges behind. It's like, I'm going to come against this guy. I don't have the resources. I don't have the behind me. I'm just a one person. With a judge, no. All kinds of money.
Right. So when you look at judge, this judge is just not a judge sitting behind the bench, right? This is a judge, is a person who's in a position of authority to preside over certain things. Like we read Job 9:24, he covered the faces of the judges thereof, right? So there were a lot of distinguished individuals, distinguished, righteous, holy people that Esau went and covered up their faces. Solomon, Yahushua, Moses, these different people. These were people who were put in a position of authority over the people. So now it says, judge, go not to law with the judge, right? So now here it is. We see in this system, this crooked system, the cops are coming to do something and plant drugs on somebody and lock them up. You're like, yo, man, nah, I see them do it. I'm going to court. You go to court, and then you say, listen, judge, I saw him plant that on him. But the judge, the prosecutor, the cops, they all working together. That's why it's hard to convict a cop, because they all will judge for one another. They're not going to usually go against that cop, right? Even cops, they're like judges on the street. That's why they have their, what do they call them?
Blue wall.
The blue wall of silence, right? They're not going to go and say, yeah, I seen him, he punched him, yup, I seen him. He took the money. No, they're not going to do that. They're going to judge for themselves. So you now have to figure out a better way to say, I'm not going to rely on Esau to go and use Esau's law unless you got to be real tricky, right? To say I'm going to use Esau's law to judge against him and convict him with his own law. 7 times out of 10, they're going to stand for themselves. They're going to acquit themselves and everything else, like how we've been seeing it for so many years.
Yeah, who possesses slaves and hold himself not guilty.
Right.
Are you going to go to court? All this court, this, and he's like, not guilty. And we see it time and time again to use their system, try to use their system against them. Verse 15, travel not by the way with a bold fellow, lest he become grievous unto thee, for he will do according to his own will, and thou shalt perish with him through his folly. So with a bold fella, he likely do anything, you know? So he become, grievous, lest he become grievous unto thee. That's like, oh, I'm traveling with this bold fella. He likely to do anything or jump off or something,
Yeah. That usually is always the case sometimes, especially when you're in the world and you going somewhere and somebody brings somebody, or you just know the character of this person, that he ain't got it all. And he could put you in a situation that you don't need to be in. Right? It don't cause for what he's gonna do. So you going somewhere and you like, guys like, I gave you a 20 and you gave me back less change than what I was supposed to give back. Right? And he's like, no, are you sure you gave me the 20? And this guy's like, yo, man. And he ready to fight. Now everybody in the store is on edge. And you're like, yo, calm down. It ain't that big. It ain't that big of a deal. But now he can't stop. He's looking for a confrontation because that's just how he is. He bold. He like that. He like contention. And you like, yo, man, I don't even want it. This ain't even that. I'm ready to just leave the whole $2.17 alone if it's going to cause this. But now because of what he's done, he with you, he don't put you in the whole situation. Now it may lead to bloodshed over something that's so simple.
Yeah.
So you got to watch out with the company that you travel with, that it does not cause you any harm.
Yeah, it says, and thou shalt perish
And you shall
with
perish.
him through his folly.
Somebody will pull out a gun and say, well, we're about to shoot up the whole spot over this one dude. And that happens out there in the world.
Yeah.
That happens out there in the world. Somebody done went and said something, did something that now done got everybody he with in a jam, and then they now get killed. And you find out through the grapevine what happened, and it was because he said such and such to somebody else's girl, and he knew who it was. Or he said something such and such to the boy who had the nice car, and he tried to punk him. Really? Like, why you had to do that? It ain't cause for that. And now, to his homeboy, he's dead behind it. Watch out for individuals like that. And the truth, that's why we want to, bond with certain people who are like-minded, that we don't think that way. We don't act that way, right? So we shouldn't have that. But in the world, you just can't have any old body in your circle.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, say here, somebody get killed over $1, or a look, or some really silly stuff, that could have been squashed. Verse 16, strive not with an angry man, and go not with him into a solitary place, for blood is as nothing in his sight, and where there is no help, he will overthrow thee. So with an angry man, you don't want to be in a place with just you and him, because your life is nothing to him. And you have no help.
That's like we used to tell the stories about the guys used to rent the room out to. He start wilding out, and then you in the house by yourself. You got nobody to be like, yo, man, calm down. And now he ready to take you through a wall, do all kind of things, and he mightier than you. What you gonna do?
And he's like, I just have to run out the house.
Exactly. Exactly.
I feel like, oh shoot, I gotta run out my own house.
What am I gonna do? I can't beat this guy. So I don't even want to strive with him. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna strive with him and get beat up, killed, or stabbed, or something like that. So I just be a little bit more wiser and get the legal the authorities to get him out, or I just be even more wiser of who I allow in my house.
Yeah. Come to a point, it's like, I want nobody else in my house like that.
Yeah, that's why. Sometimes when you see Ashton, this is allowance, so only and only, or only college students, or I'm looking for someone who's a certain criteria. If you don't meet that criteria, because you can who you want, in that case you can discriminate, right?
Yeah.
I only want African Americans. I only want this. Right? If you say yourself, listen, Moab, they I can deal with Moab. They're gonna pay me on top. Okay, I only want Chinese people as a
But it's a discrimination law too.
Yeah.
But when Hazel Esau does it with certain jobs and certain business and certain place, he wants to see the person.
Yeah.
He wants to see the person. Like, I can't discriminate, but I can see who I'm.
Exactly.
I like, nah.
Right. I mean, you're not gonna verbally go out there and discriminate.
No, because there's laws against that.
I denied him because he was
Black.
He was black, or he was white, or he was Chinese. Then they could go take you, but you could just say, nah, and he just didn't fit the criteria of somebody who I felt was going to be in my house. That's it. I ain't telling you in my mind that because who he was, or who she was, but he just didn't fit the criteria.
And sometimes it might be you might live a certain place, and you know what you hear about certain people, and it's like, oh no, I don't want them in my place, man, because I know they cause traffic. I don't want that. Okay, verse 17. Consult not with a fool, for he cannot keep counsel. So, he's a fool. And things he tells you on certain things, sometimes you might even see him out there doing all them crazy things out there too. Or even worse. He don't know what he's talking about. He may say, or somebody who's not wise. It's verse 18. Do no secret thing before a stranger, for thou knowest not what he will bring forth. So you do something before a stranger, and he's sometime at this day and age, he could even be secretly recording it. Or having it in his mind, it's like, yo, he's doing this. I seen him doing this stuff. Yeah, or just undercover somebody out there seeing you and bringing against you. Because sometimes at times people do certain things, like it's an undercover person. It's like, yeah, I'll do it for you, and it's like, you find you out. There's a verse.
This don't even have to be with like something wicked. Most times not saying if you're gonna do something wicked, hide it from a stranger. Nah, this is just something that you want. Like if I got money that I'm putting somewhere to save for good keeping, I'm not gonna go and put the code to my doggone safe. I'm gonna punch the code in front of him. I don't even know who this guy is. And then now he like, oh, I know the safe. And then now he's somewhere else, and somebody talking like, yo, man, we broke as I don't know what. Yo, man, I know where some money at, and I don't even know how to get in. It's easy. I seen this guy's code. I'm not even telling him that I got a safe. Exactly. You don't even want him to know, but you don't want to do no secret thing of that nature, like something that you want to keep private in front of someone who you don't trust. Right? You said, nah, I don't know this person like that. So I'm not gonna disclose. I'll wait till later on before I either, like if me and you were here and somebody new is in the school, that brother, he's a brother. But as far as for me, he's a stranger because I don't know him yet. I don't know what his motives are. So I said, you know what? I ain't gonna say nothing until the brother leave. All right, brother, it was good seeing you. Thanks for coming through. Most high will you come back? You know, shalom. And then he leave, and then I'll say, you know what? I need you to come by my crib to come help me do such and so. We live at some. Oh, I live on such and such block, and I don't know who that guy is. I have no certain things. I'm gonna be real discretionary with how I disclose it, who I disclose it to, because you don't know what that guy's intentions are. I remember you used to have brothers who come into school just for the women. Literally, brother said it. The reason I came in here because I seen a lot of women coming up in here, so I came in the school. That was his purpose. So now he come up in there and he going like, yo, man, they got a lot of women up in that school, brother. I think we need to go over there. And he, like, what? And now he coming into school looking at the sisters here and like, oh yeah, the most high name what? And he over there looking at the sister. And then here it is, you over the side disclosing certain things. You like, oh man, I can come and take advantage of that. Nah, don't do that.
And it's related to it. Ecclesiasticus 42:6. It says, sure keeping is good where an evil wife is, and shut up where many hands are. Like where many hands are, you don't want everybody to know, like I said, the combination of certain things. You know, you run in a certain organization or so, and it's only certain people. You know, certain people know, certain people know the code, or certain people have the keys or whatever, so on and so forth, right? The second part.
What, 18?
Yeah, verse 18.
For thou knowest not what he will bring forth.
Yeah, secret things.
Right.
It said, shut up where many hands are. Verse Ecclesiasticus 42:6.
Oh, 42.
Shut up where many hands are. Can it relate it to verse 18?
To a certain degree. I mean, it's pertaining. It's funny because it's pertaining dealing with a wife, but in this case, yeah, you don't want to have any personal things available to people you don't trust knowing about it, pretty much.
Okay. Verse 19, it says, open not thine heart to every man, lest he requite thee with a shrewd turn. I remember years ago, like somebody's going counsel, with a counselor, and he's telling him about, oh, this stock and that stock, or what he's gonna do, and so on and so forth. And the counselor end up going out there and buying the stock too, buying a lot of the stock, because he know that the person came to him secretly, secretly about certain things. So with every man, you're not gonna tell your business to. Yeah, Consummate.
This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 37.
For verse 19. Hold on. Verse 19. 37. And what?
I'll start at 7. So it says, Ecclesiasticus chapter 37, verse 7, every counselor extolleth counsel, but there is some that counseleth for himself. Beware of a counselor, and know before what need he had. For he will counsel for himself, lest he cast the lot upon thee, and say unto thee, this way is good, and afterward he stand on the other side to see what shall befall thee. So it goes into, as far as for opening out your heart to every person. Everybody's not going to be a good counselor because you don't know what their motives or agendas are. So you got to prove a person first that they are on the up and up, that they're not giving you counseling and advice so that they can take advantage of it. It's like, here you go, you married to somebody, like, yo, man, me and my wife, man, we just ain't getting along. Word, you should just leave her, brother. She ain't seeing you, just leave her. And all the way in the back of his mind, he was already coveting after her, right? So now if he divorced his wife, guess what? Now he's on the other side. Like, yeah, I knew he was never good for you. I never worked out. While all the while he's confiding in this guy about all the intricacies about the relationship, and now he knows all this. He knows what she likes. He knows what he don't like because he confided, and he now is on the other side, now trying to woo over. And now the brother's standing there like, yo, man, how you over here talking to my wife now? Brother, you divorced her. I got a counselor. Yeah. Now she's free reign. Now, no, it's not like that. What are you talking about?
Sometimes I think about things like that, you know.
No, that's true.
You know, brothers in the school and Israelite, and he got his wife, and all of a sudden, you know, another guy that just can't wait for him to put her away, and she leave him, whatever, and he's like, he's with her now. I'm like, that's why certain things is like, they want to get camps together, so brothers or sisters don't go from camp to camp, school to school with certain things, you know?
Used to have, you hear stories of the old schools back in the day. I haven't heard many as of late. I think, maturation has probably happened now with certain schools, but in the past, that used to happen where you had younger brothers who were coming to the truth, probably be in the truth for about 6 months to a year, and you had brothers who was in there for 5 years plus and had rank and position, and they would see these young men with these wives, and then they would go and impute their authority and their position over them and go and take their wives. So she's not good for you, brother. You can't handle a wife like this. You're young in the spirit. You don't need to deal with her, and then they go get with the wife, the girl. So and it's like, yo, man, that's just wicked as all hell.
Yeah, you know.
And you hear stories about that used to happen back then. But it is what it is, and that became like one of the things that people abusing their power and not really soaking up these type precepts to understand how to live amongst each other righteously.
Yeah, because how does it look? You know, the bishop, he has his wife, and so another brother come in, all of a sudden he put up his wife, and then she's in the school with another brother. It doesn't look right. Okay, that. Next Sabbath reading is Joshua 5 and 6. But that's the 26. Then you have that's the 26, right? So and then you have Day of Atonement. Day of Atonement is next Friday. Next Friday is sundown. So that's the 25th. Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. It's a Sabbath. You should be off nonetheless, especially for this day.
And then Friday is their atonement, and then that following Wednesday, the 30th, is the opening for the Feast of Tabernacles, 8-day feast. So that Wednesday night of the 30th, last Wednesday in the month of September, Esau September,
Yeah.
is the opening, and then the following Wednesday is the closing.
Following.
So I'm gonna try to, I think this weekend or tomorrow, not this weekend, tomorrow, I'm gonna try to get my tent put back up.
Because you have your tent.
Yeah, I got a tent. Try to get one put it back up.
Will it be a tent or should it be,
I know certain camps say they go out.
Yeah, you can build it. As long as it's supposed to just be a temporary, outside dwelling place. Booth, a tent, what have you, where you are out under the coverings of your house. And like you have some who will put their tent or their booth, like you read in the scriptures, on top of the house. Most houses back then had a flat roof. So they would put it on top of the house. Like you read, I think Judith, when you read in the Apocrypha, when her husband died, she had a dwelling place on the roof or the top of her house that she used to dwell in. So she went and built that there. So now when you have folks, some of us who are in the city, we don't have roofs that you can go and do that, or you don't have outside backyards that could do that with. Sometimes certain brothers and sisters went and went and just had a tent in their house, right? Took the living room space and just said, okay, I'll just put a tent up here, and this is where I'm gonna dwell in, just to try it out. So different ways and methods that you could try, but if not, still, it's an 8-day feast. This is one of those main 4 holy days that we come with an offering, $100 for the Feast of Tabernacles, not for the Day of Atonement, but for the Feast of Tabernacles, or whatever you're able to give at that time for the Feast of Tabernacles.
Yeah, it's been $100 for a long time.
$100 for a long time.
That's easy to do.
Whereas other schools, man, I used to hear schools like Passover. I've been 200 since I first came into the truth 20 some years ago, and now you be hearing $1,200 for certain schools. For their Passover dues, and they'll say, "Hey, $1,200. Start saying $100 a month. Put $100 a month from now to the next year, and then boom, you got it."
I know when they used to work in the corporate office, ordinary clerks pay X amount, but those who are in authority who make more money, they should pay more money, and they have them paid too for certain events. All right, stay tuned for the closing prayers. Enjoy the rest of the Sabbath and stay tuned for the closing prayers. Barakta Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Asherah, Nathan Parya, Hakapan, Tawada, Aman, La Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, At Yasha'Allah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you. So be it to Yahweh in the name of Yahushai with Israel. Madwa, Panya, Jerusalem. Stand and face Jerusalem. Yahweh, Basham, Yahweh Shai, Babakashah, Shammai, Lanawa, Aitha, Yamyan, Aitha, Shalak, Ma'aka'ala, Watazawadak, La, Shemar Barak, Rapa, Magan, Wakazayak, Banya, Yasha'ala, Wasalat, Lanawa, Rabiam, Kakama, Rabiam, Da'ai, Rabiam, Bayana, Rabiam, Sabalamwa, Rabiam, Amawan, Rabiam, Aqua, Rabiam, Ahabiam, Rabiam, Hagana, Rakanaya, Wasalat, Kal, Katayimnawa, Lawarakim, Washa'ala, Tamyad, Waiwalam, Basham, Yahawashah, Tawada, Aman. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh, Shai, please listen to us now, right now. Send Michael and the righteous power angel to watch over, bless, heal, protect, and make strong the children of Israel, and send to us much wisdom, much knowledge, much understanding, much patience, much faith, much brotherhood, much love, much spiritual protection, and forgive all our sins for the brothers in Israel, always and forever. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. The Four Corners Prayer. Yahweh, Basham, Yahweh Shai, Barak Nawa, Weasha'ala, Rabati Sapara. That's Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless us and Israel and the house of books. Shama, Yasharala, Yahweh, Alahainawa, Yahweh, Akkad. As hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Amen. Shalom, Israel. Enjoy the rest of the Sabbath.
I got a brand new bag.